A bunch of big news just released. We have First Strike deck information finally. It's not what I expected, but we'll talk about it. We have the next Armory deck after Boltyn, which, spoiler alert, is Aelia apparently. And all of this because we're talking about Fab at Gen Con. So let's start there. Flesh and Blood is going to be at Gen Con from August 1st through 4th. And they are bringing some truly exciting experiences for fans to sink their teeth into. A lot of it involves these First Strike decks that we're going to look at, alongside of a couple of learn how to play events in Classic Constructed, as well as the Blaze promos, like the Blaze events. So First Strike decks are the first thing we should talk about. Because this introduces a new hero. First of all, this is kind of interesting. So First Strike decks were something that I wasn't sure exactly what they'd be. I had a theory and a sort of a maybe more of a tinfoil hat belief that they would be 30 card 3-ofs, very similar to the Ira Welcome decks. And they would just, start releasing these and make them basically like super easy, super simple, learn how to play decks at 30 card 3-ofs. But instead, they are super easy, super simple, learn how to play Blitz decks, which means that you can take that and then just run with it into a Blitz tournament off of these First Strike decks. They are not necessarily intended to play competitively from the way they've described it, but they are intended more to just teach the game and give you 40 cards to play with. So I think that's probably better than what I was deep down hoping for in the form of a new quote-unquote format, the First Strike format. But nevertheless, I think being able to play into a Blitz event with this sort of welcome deck is probably better than that. Now, that being said, we have a new hero to talk about, and that's Terara, which looks so cool with the green earth border. But Terara is an Elemental Guardian hero young. He's only the second, third, 28th Guardian we've had in the game. I'm not sure. There's not very many, only 14. I don't know. Terara is a 20 health 4 intellect Guardian hero that says at the beginning of each end phase, so as you move to the end phase, if there's an earth card in your pitch zone, at the same timing, I believe at the channel phase, for a channel Mount Heroic and things like that, you can pay a resource. If you do pay a resource, you create a might token, which essentially will roll over through your opponent's turn and onto your next turn, triggering at the start of your turn. So you can have essentially the KO setup of a might every single turn with this hero. That, coupled with Essence of Earth, means you can play Earth, Earth Equipment. Of course, you can't play Crown of Seeds, but Earth Equipment otherwise. You can play, which we're probably going to see some new Earth Equipment. We might see that included in the First Strike deck. But you can also expect to see nice Earth cards that we've seen, like Entwine Earth, and very simple, easy to understand concepts to build up Terara. But I could see this becoming a hero that sees a little bit of play and a little bit of mess around with within the Blitz world, because he's totally legal for Blitz and can totally be played. The other hero we already know about, and that's Aurora, but this is interesting because that's not the Aurora art that we've seen on a hero, or on the first hero. In fact, let me show you. If I go over to the articles and then I go to Rosetta, this is the thing that had me scratching my head, because this is the Aurora art for the young hero that we've seen already. Yes, she is making a finger gun and shooting lightning from it. I mean, come on. How do you not love that, right? But then you compare that with this Aurora art, and this is the Aurora art they used in the trailer, I believe, or they've used it somewhere else as well. We've seen a more full art version of this. Maybe this was this the young art they showed in the deck, though? Did they just on the front of the deck, it's not. So now I'm confused. Now I just need to go and look at the Fabrary. Fabrary always has the answers. We're doing it live because that's how we do things. Is it the same? Okay, it is the same. I'm just going insane. That's what it is. I'm literally going insane. Okay, so but the question that had me scratching my head is, they're already releasing a Blitz deck version of Aurora, and we have a First Strike deck version of Aurora. So the only difference I'm gathering between these two products is that the Aurora deck from the First Strike deck is going to be more simplified, more based on easy to learn, first time playing the game players. And I will say this, as a teacher and as someone who has taught things to, elementary school kids, preschool kids, 6th grade kids and up, and high school. Obviously, I've taught a lot of grade levels, and I've taught things from the conceptual groundwork being laid all the way to someone at a high level. It is a very good idea to have scaffolding teaching, right? To have a very basic concept, or in this case, a very basic, easy to understand deck to get your feet wet with the mechanics, and then to scaffold it. So what I hope with this product is that this first strike deck is super lean and easy to understand. Very basic concepts, that it's made of attacks, it's made of cards that are purely there for blocking purposes to learn how to block, and then maybe a defense reaction and an instant. Basically one of every type of card so that you can play with just about everything and understand how the game functions. And then the actual Blitz decks that are here are a little bit more attuned to a specific archetype that a player can buy with this overall product. By the way, this is including booster packs now. I think it does, which is kind of cool. And I think that's very good if it is. Hold on. Yes, it has 2 booster packs. This is exactly what I wanted from the product we're about to talk about next. But I hope that this is like the archetype deck where a player can be like, cool, I played the first strike deck. Now I'm going to dig into like what the archetype actually does, what the hero actually does. So I think that's very cool. Also, the might token is like hero specific, and that is literally an emerald being used as a giant club or a pick. That is pretty cool. I think that's very awesome. So that's the first strike decks. Like I said, I expected them to be 30 card Ira welcome decks, except for like new heroes, which again, I'm going to say it, I think that would be a really good format. Commons and rares, 15 cards, 3-ofs all the way around, build a deck. I don't know. Maybe we should run that as a tournament in the Discord to see if that's actually fun or if it's not. But it's not going to be that. First strike decks are definitely just slimmed down Blitz decks, which means you can just buy them and run them out there if you want to. Okay, second product that we're going to talk about is the Armory deck Aelia edition. Let's close all these other tabs. By the way, there is a full page just talking all about this. This whole thing sets you up nicely, by the way, to play into the new upcoming set Rosetta, which is very cool. This breaks down the entire policy and like the product itself. You can look at the product sheet. I don't think it spoils anything else than what we already gleaned from that. But what is containing a little spoilers is the Armory deck box set. The next one is not going to be Aelia. The next one's technically going to be Bolton. We do know about those cards already, some of those cards. We don't know the full composition. This Aelia deck, though, is next on the docket after the Bolton deck. And we do know a couple of cards that are already going to be included in this product. I should say the release date for this is August the 2nd, early access at Gen Con. Same thing, I keep going back to it because there's so much freaking information all at once. But the product is releasing officially August 23rd, but you can actually get these on August 1st to actually play these. But the nice thing about this is there's no real event that you can run these out in, because the official set where you can play Aurora and the official set that you can play Terra in doesn't actually come out. And so you can't supplement with cards for Aurora technically until that set actually releases. So you could conceivably play, like Aurora in and then build the deck. You could buy the first strike deck and like play her in Blitz. That would be kind of cool to see people do that, but you're not going to have much in the way of opportunity. Aelia, however, is coming out this August the 2nd and has some really spicy cards here that we could talk about. If you go to the product sheet, it's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We're just gonna punch in here. This is coming out August 2nd. Like I said, take aim and shoot to win at an Armory event near you. Why take aim? Well, there's a couple of reasons, because we have some aim counter support in the form of these 2 cards that they showed off here, which is kind of spicy. Let me get a bigger version. Okay, here's massive versions of both of them. Line It Up is going to be a card that's included, and if it's anything like the KO Armory deck, this will be a 3-of in the deck so that you immediately get a playset. It is a majestic rarity. It costs 1. It pitches yellow. It blocks for 3, so it's got some good things going for it there. And it says your next arrow attack this turn gets plus +3 attack. So it's a baseline buff. And it says you may turn a face down arrow in your arsenal face up. And if you do, put an aim counter on it, go again. Now, there are arrows in the game that really like aim counters. There are certain arrows that only have an effect if they include an aim counter, and running aim counter support is, well, first of all, aim counter support is few and far between, so that's one thing. But running that makes you change your deck fundamentally. Now, this card basically says you can play those arrows and combine it with this and get some good value. The other thing that makes it interesting is this might be pretty solid for Riptide, because playing this allows you to drop an arrow into your arsenal face down. You then trigger this effect, turn it face up, and then put an aim counter on it, meaning that you can, for one resource, play this and drop an arrow in without having to load it or anything like that, and turn it face up and put an arrow, put an aim counter on it. So this has some utility for Riptide as well, and he likes some aim counters from now and again, which is pretty cool. The other card, Target Totalizer, is a Ranger equipment head, so it's competing for a very competitive slot in the sphere of Ranger. And it says action, you destroy this, and whenever an arrow with an aim counter hits this turn, you draw a card. That is bonkers. It draws you a singular card at least, but if you build an aim counter based deck, which maybe this deck also includes like a rare that supports aim counter usage, and in which case if it does, that will be quite good. But if you build an aim counter based deck, then this card, if you get like 2 cards out of it, 2 arrows hit, this card might be worth the head slot. But at the same time, it might also not be, because it is definitely like a one and done thing. But again, looking at the KO Armory deck as a litmus test, we got Savage Sash. People said it was mediocre. People said it was really good. People said it was bad. And I think it's more falling to just the solid tier. This could do the same sort of thing, depending on what other support we see for aim counters going forward. The nice thing about this is you could buy this Armory deck if you want to pick up and play Aelia. And there's definitely pieces here that are just going to apply right to Riptide. I mean, you look at Riptide and it's been playing as a more aggro package, which plays 60% of the cards that the Aelia deck does right now as well. And both of them are like A tier, S tier type decks. Well, I should say Azalea's closer to S tier. Riptide's more of like an A tier, B tier, if you want to argue that deck. And they play a very similar set of cards. So if this deck is anything like that, you could buy this, swap out 30% of the cards, 40% of the cards, depending on the composition, and play Riptide as well. Just throw in like 12 traps or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I actually kind of like this. Now, I never explained and like did a full-on video on my thoughts on the Blitz decks themselves. I do have, some thoughts on the KO Blitz deck. I'll give you the TLDR version. If you want a full-on video still talking about the Blitz decks and like reviewing the KO Blitz deck, I just ran out of time that week. But if you want that, leave a comment down below. As far as how I feel about the first Blitz deck and what I think these other Blitz decks are, I think they're a solid product, and they are a lot of very good reasons to have a product like this on the shelves. I'm fairly happy with it. I think there could be some tweaks made, including, but not limited to, my biggest tweak on this product. Just put packs in it. Just like a singular pack. Like, that's the biggest tweak. But again, if you want me to go into a deeper dive on the Armory deck product, let me know that in a comment below. But holy crap, that's a lot of info. I did a lot of talking. I just ate ice cream. Like, all this happened when I took my family out for ice cream. And now we're talking about all of this cool stuff. So that's pretty neat. I mean, it's going to be the same $40 price point. These are all going to be coming out at Gen Con. Like, you can get early access to these products at Gen Con. And I don't think it intersects or is allowed to kind of intersect with Pro Tour Amsterdam. Hold on, let me check that. Yeah, no, because Pro Tour Amsterdam's like the week before. So Pro Tour Amsterdam takes place the last week of July. This comes out the first week of July or later, depending on when you're actually looking at it, because early access. Obviously, you're not worried about these first strike decks, but really the Aelia deck, which comes out, where was it? Where did it say it again? It came out sometime later. Oh yeah, August 2nd, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I think that this is pretty fun. I think that these are pretty awesome. Let me know what you think about them in a comment below. What would you like to see the next Armory deck be? We now have 3 on the docket, one of which is released, one of which is about to release, and one of which is on the horizon. What hero needs it the most? Sound off below. And if you want to support the channel, if you want me to make more videos for you, if you would like to see more lore videos like the one yesterday that's been doing pretty well, make the number go slightly higher and support on Patreon, because one day, if there are enough patrons on that list up there, the dream of me making daily Flesh and Blood and other card game related videos for you to watch while you get your young one to sleep with an earbud in your ear, they could be a reality. I mean, that's a pretty good proposition. Am I right? Okay, bye.